If you were a 90s kid, this is probably how you first met Rasputin. A reanimated corpse with a detachable head, magical green goo, and a singing bat named Bartok. Historically accurate? Not even close. But the real Rasputin didn't need enchanted scrolls or animated minions. He had something much weirder. The ear of the Russian Empress, a death record longer than most horror movie villains, and a beard that could spiritually intimidate a bear. They poisoned him, shot him again, beat him, then threw him in a frozen river. And according to the autopsy, he was still breathing when he hit the water. So who was he really? A holy man or a hypnotic fraud? A prophet or a man possessed? Grigori Rasputin was born in Siberia in 1869, in a tiny village called Pogrodsky, where the winters were long and the plumbing was theoretical. He wasn't educated, he wasn't clean, and he wasn't especially holy. But he saw visions, strange lights in the sky, saints, angels, maybe even the Virgin Mary. Some villagers thought he was touched by God. Others thought he was just touched. In his 20s, he left his wife and kids to wander Russia on a religious pilgrimage, sleeping in caves, fasting, and somehow becoming famous for having piercing eyes and unsettling spiritual powers. By the time he reached St. Petersburg, he had a new title, the Mad Monk. Fun fact, he was never actually a monk. In the Russian Empire, Tsar Nicholas II and his wife Alexandra had a problem. Their son Alexei had hemophilia. A cut or a bruise could kill him. And when you're the heir to the Russian throne, bleeding out in a palace bathroom is not ideal for public morale. Enter Rasputin. In 1908, he was brought in to pray for the boy, and the bleeding stopped. Alexandra was convinced Rasputin had divine powers. Nicholas wasn't thrilled about the dirty peasants sleeping in their palace. But when your kid stops dying, you tend to overlook the hygiene issues. So Rasputin became the Romanovs' spiritual advisor, and their fatal weakness. To some, Rasputin was a holy man, a mystic, a gifted healer sent by God. To others, he was a hypnotist, a con man, or a straight-up sex addict in priest cosplay. He was known to sleep with noble women, tell them it was God's will, and then do it again. He reportedly told one woman, "You must sin with me, so that God may forgive you." Yeah, try that one in confession. He may have belonged to a heretical sect called the Kilts, who believed that sin led to salvation. But it's hard to know, because Rasputin told everyone something different. Orthodox Christians thought he was possessed. Occultists thought he was clairvoyant. The nobility thought he was dangerous. And Alexandra thought he was the only man who could save her son. And maybe Russia itself. Meanwhile, Russia was falling apart. World War I was bleeding the empire dry. The people were starving, and everyone blamed Rasputin, the dirty mystic whispering in the Tsarina's ear. So a group of nobles decided it was time for a divinely sanctioned assassination. They invited him to dinner, served him cyanide-laced cakes, and waited for the fireworks. But nothing happened. So they shot him in the chest. He fell. They relaxed. Suddenly he stood up. They shot him again, beat him with a club. He was still breathing. Finally, they tied him up and threw him into the freezing Neva River. He died, not from poison, not from bullets, but from drowning. He was still alive when he hit the water. So, who was Rasputin? A healer? Maybe. A prophet? Possibly. A saint? Depends who you ask. A demon? Some priests swore it. But here's the twist. Rasputin predicted his own death. He told Nicholas II, "If I die at the hands of your subjects, you and your family will be killed by the Russian people." 1 year later, Nicholas abdicated, the Bolsheviks took over, and in 1918 the entire Romanov family was murdered in a basement. Coincidence? Or prophecy fulfilled? Rasputin defies categories. He was a sinner who called on God, a peasant who walked among emperors, a man who may have healed with prayer, and preyed on the people he claimed to save. Some think he was a mystic, blessed with gifts of the spirit. Others think he was a tool of Satan, or just a weird guy who got lucky. A lot. And honestly, we still don't know. What we do know is that when history gets this weird, it usually means something important was happening underneath. Rasputin is dead, but the mystery? That's still very much alive. Was he a mad monk, or something much more dangerous?